Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's going to be another fun day today. We're going to be talking all about flowers. This is exciting.
So we traditionally have not grown a lot of flowers. We, as in Carrie and I, we've bought a lot of flowers in our life, but we have not started very many from seed. So this is the first year that we have really gone all in, and every single flower that we're going to have on our property is going to be something we started from seed.
It's
So
exciting. We have a bunch of trays and we just transplanted a bunch, like up potted them. We put several in hanging pots. I'm so excited. I love starting them by seed right now. It's my new favorite thing.
So, because this is the first year of us doing it, we do not know a lot about flowers. We are still learning, but we have brought in Laura, who is an expert from Park Seed. She is the person that we go to at Park Seed for pretty much all of our questions related to plants. She's awesome, and we're really happy that she can be here with us today to talk about flowers. So, we're going to be going through and talking about 10 flowers that you can grow in early spring. So, these are all things that we are starting now, whether indoors or some of these things we're starting to plant outside too. A couple of them we are. But these are all things for early spring. And we'll do this again in mid-spring and again at the end of spring, and we'll do it again in summer. We're going to do this every couple of three or 4 weeks probably. We'll come back with another flower workshop and talk about it, because it's been a while since we've been this excited, I think, about gardening. The vegetable garden has been exciting too, but a lot of that is just doing stuff that we've done for years. We feel like we've got that down pretty well at this point. We're trying new varieties, and that's fun. But flowers are a whole new world for us, and we're excited to share some of our excitement with you and to capture some of this beginning for us, and and all of that. So
Yeah, it's super fun.
yeah, so we're gonna jump in and talk about 10
Well,
flowers.
do we want to have Laura introduce herself?
Yes,
I know
let's
we,
do that.
we touched on it, but if you want to say hi and introduce yourself, tell us where you are.
Yes.
Well, I'm in wonderful sunny South Carolina. My name is Laura Root, and I do work for J&P Park Acquisitions, which is the owner of Park Seed. I'm the senior product manager for live plants and garden accessories. I have about 12 years of green industry experience, and that is the gamut of e-commerce, big box stores, independent garden centers. I've worked for numerous floral designers, and I do have an environmental horticulture degree from Virginia Tech.
Awesome. You see, I told you guys, like she knows everything.
Yeah,
I do not know everything, but
well, to me, I feel like you do.
We always learn new things when we talk to Laura.
Every time I come and ask you a question, like you always have a great answer.
Yeah, or if you don't, she's going to research it and then come back the next day with a really good answer. That's one thing I love about Laura too. She has the same passion for growing and the same excitement and wonder for plants that we do, and that's fun. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun today.
I've learned from many, many mistakes. Let's put it that way.
Us too.
Yes, for sure.
Yep.
Oh, and along that line, we didn't introduce ourselves too. If we have people here that we've never seen before.
Yeah, let's do that too. So we're Dale Carrie Spoonmore. We are in Zone 7 in Oklahoma City. We are the creators of the From Seed to Spoon app, along with some of our friends. We work on that app, and our app is owned by Park Seed, and we do a lot of work with Park Seed and stuff like this, and we're excited to be here. So yeah, join us in the chat, by the way. Let us know where you are. Let us know what you have going. We're excited to also learn from y'all while we're talking about these things too. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of flowers we talk about that you have some exciting stuff to share about. So please share that in the chat. This can be fun. All right.
I see a lot of zones represented in the chat right now. So
for sure, yeah.
Yep.
It's a lot.
All right, so let's dive in. And before we get too far, I do want to remind everyone that we have a giveaway that we are doing. So if you leave a comment, it can be a question, it can be something funny, it can be whatever you want it to be, but leave a comment and that will enter you to win a 1-year free premium app subscription to our Seed to Spoon app, which will give you free shipping on all of your purchases, which is huge. We're really excited to have that as an offer now for our yearly subscribers. It gives you unlimited plants you can add into your garden, gives you access to every feature in the app, like the calendar feature, There's
Login unlimited plants.
Growbot, unlimited questions.
So many things. Like the themes.
We just added new garden theme feature about a month ago where we have 26 different garden themes.
I love it.
We spent a lot of time.
Rainbow theme. It's awesome. You guys need to check it out.
There's a pizza garden and salsa gardens and all of that. So we spent a lot of time trying to curate some of our favorite varieties into collections so that if you're not sure what to grow, it can give you an idea of the types of things we grow and the reasons that we grow it for. So, all right. Well, let's jump in and start talking about some flowers.
Like Dale said, we're going to be covering the early spring flowers. So some of the more like traditionally summer ones, we're probably going to be talking about at our next workshop that we do for flowers. So today we're going to be talking about a lot of the cooler season ones.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, you're not going to hear about zinnias today, but hopefully you will hear about some things.
They're my favorites, though.
Yeah. We're going to talk all about zinnias and marigolds and all that stuff coming up here real soon. But right now we're talking about the stuff that we're starting in the early spring. So hopefully some of these will be things that you'll learn about, and they're all things we've learned about recently. So this is all stuff we've had to learn, you know, when you plant different things, and all of that has been a new undertaking for us. So it's been awesome.
Okay, Laura, I see your question about flowers. Yes, I am working on adding flowers. I am doing it. I did add zinnias. So those ones are in there because zinnias are probably one of my favorites. But we have like zinnias, marigolds, calendula, nasturtium, lavender, but lavender's technically, I don't know.
Yes.
Flowers on them.
Yes.
But yes, I am going to be doing more. I'm actually halfway through snapdragons right now, and then I have a lot of flowers on my list. So don't worry, I will be working on it.
Park Seed has a huge flower selection, so I can see how it could take a long time.
Yes, especially zinnias. There's like 100 different zinnias that Park Seed has. It's incredible.
And Cheryl asked, can we add plants from Park Seed into the app? We are definitely doing that. So we are going through the most popular flowers and adding them from there. If there are specific flowers that you would like to see, number one, don't forget you can add anything as a custom plant. So that's a workaround for now. But also let us know in the chat or email us what specific flowers you want us to add into the app, and we will prioritize the ones that you'll tell us about.
Yeah, because I actually had somebody reach out and ask about snapdragons. So that's why I was working on that one so quickly, because that wouldn't have been top of my list. I wouldn't have really thought about it. So.
Yeah, if you message Carrie on Instagram what flower you want, you will probably hijack the next hour of her life, and she will immediately go start doing it from what I've seen.
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's jump in and start talking about some flowers. So first one on the list.
Speaking of snapdragons, I personally love snapdragons because this was like the only flower that I remember growing as a kid because it was so much fun. Like just taking them and like playing with them whenever they're flowers. Like you can make them like you can play with them. Yes, they talk. Yeah. Yeah, they're super fun. I love them. They're great for kids. I love them. They're great for cool season. Yeah, I love snapdragons.
Let me call out a couple things on these slides you're going to see. So on the left, you're going to see either a sun or what is it if it's shade? What is the icon?
Well, we don't have any shade, but we have some that tolerate part shade to full sun. So I put a sun and a cloud. So it's like a sun cloud. So that's like part shade.
So snapdragons are going to be full sun. And then over here, you're going to see the size they're going to get to. So from anywhere from 6 inches to 3 feet tall.
Yeah, there's a huge variety in snapdragons because there's miniature ones and there's like huge full size ones.
We started ours indoors probably 8 weeks or so ago now. I don't know, probably 6 weeks because we're still 4 weeks from our frost. So we just went off the guidelines. So.
Yeah.
You pay attention to our flower charts way more than I do. How are they doing?
Great. They're about, I was looking at them this morning because I was like, okay, I need to look and see how all of our flowers are doing that we're talking about today. And our snapdragons are doing great. They're probably about a few inches tall now. They're doing good.
Did we start them in a biodome or?
We started those in a bootstrap tray.
In a bootstrap tray?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. A lot of these things we have started in biodomes because sunflower seeds can be a little more difficult to start. So for those in particular, we've gone with the biodome.
Yeah. Laura, anything special about snapdragons?
I mean, my experience with them is predominantly the floral industry. I've never personally grown them. I've worked on flower farms and volunteered on flower farms where they were growing them, but they were typically transplanted and already hardened off. They are lightly frost tolerant. I do know that. So after you've transplanted from your seeds, you can get them in the ground early and they will tolerate light frost. And I do know that it's really important that you pinch these. And I think a lot of times when you're growing seeds, that's where you typically find that you're not as successful or it didn't turn out like you thought it would. Knowing what plants to pinch are super important because you want to encourage branching. So you want more blooms, you want a less lengthy plant, you want something that's got short and long flowers.
Yeah, that's great. I know that snapdragons too make a really good cut flower, like for bouquets and things like that. Like, yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, they're considered a line flower if we're talking flower lingo here. And they're used a lot and they last a long time too.
So
Awesome.
are they annual or perennial? That's one thing I don't know about snapdragons. Do you know?
It depends on where you are. So here where I am in zone 8, they're technically a perennial if you're in protected areas. Which is baffling to me why I haven't grown them personally because they would come back every year. Other than that, up north, they would be typically grown as an annual.
Okay. So is it one of those things people bring indoors sometimes too? Or is that not typically done?
No.
Okay. Cool. Do we have any questions about snapdragons? Okay, so question is, what do you mean by pinching them?
So as they grow, let's say they're probably about 6 inches tall. They'll have probably 10 sets of true leaves. You would chop it down to having only 3 sets of true leaves. So you're technically beheading the top of the plant. What this does is it stimulates a growth hormone that tells the plant to branch. So if you weren't to do that, you would just have one lengthy snapdragon versus many different offshoots of the same plant. Some petunias need to be pinched too. I would just recommend looking at what plants need to be pinched because you will always get a much better success rate in your blooms if you're following those.
Great. So we probably need to do that then in a little bit. I don't know. I'll have to go count the leaves and see.
Well, I would wait till you transplant. I strictly don't. You don't even have to worry about it while you're starting the seeds per se. It's once it's transplanted and you're seeing the growth is when you want to pinch those.
Makes sense.
Because right now they're just focusing on putting out roots and putting out leaves.
So you're just going to cut that main stem like we would do with basil, right?
Exactly. Yes. Towards a node. So you can really cut it anywhere. It'll still branch and do exactly what it wants. But if you're cutting closest to the node, it'll just look better.
Yeah. So this is something we do with a number of plants. Basil's really the main one we do this with.
I know a lot of people do this with peppers.
Yeah. We don't really do it with peppers as much.
I know I've heard a lot of people doing it, but I know we've experimented with it, but
I tried it with peppers this past year and I got some branching. It kept my plants a little bit shorter. I don't think it really affected the yield too much, but.
Yeah, this is great. So they said that you can get to 0 sometimes and their snapdragons never die.
We need to try some snapdragons in our front garden that we're building.
Most of them will reseed, so the actual plant itself is not necessarily staying in the ground and coming back every year. It's all the seeds around it. And snapdragons need cold stratification. So if you're in a cold area, those seeds that drop are then in the cold weather outside until the following growing season. So as that winter weather starts to dissipate and it warms up, those seeds have already been stratified and they're going to start growing.
Nice.
Regina wants to know if we have a list of plants to pinch. We don't have a list of all plants, but as we go through and talk through these, any that you specifically need to, we'll call out. And this probably sounds like a good candidate for us to do a blog post on this week.
I like that.
So that sounds like a good topic for us to cover. I didn't mean to click on that, but shout out to Mo. He won our contest last week, and he said snapdragon seeds are easy to harvest. So
Okay, great. Let's talk about what do we have next? Pansies. I love pansies too. I'm going to say that about everything, aren't I?
you are. Yep.
Okay, I apologize in advance. I'm going to say how much I love everything. I just love them all. So pansies are gorgeous, of course. They are probably one of my favorite that are like I feel like you find them everywhere too, but there's so many unique varieties that you can get too. I know Park has a bunch of different colors and things like that I really love. So we started a bunch of these indoors this season as well. These are ones I know Laura had mentioned that they needed to be cold stratified. That's right?
Yeah, these should be. I mean, they'll still grow, as you and I discussed this morning.
I know. So it's interesting. Yeah, because Laura mentioned that these needed cold stratification. And I was like, really? Because I went out and then I checked on all of our pansies that we started indoors, and we only had like 2 that didn't germinate. And we had like 10 or 12 of them that did. Like we have a lot. Like most of them are germinated and they're doing great. So
You might.
I will say that Park Seed takes really good care of their seeds. So they are stored very, very efficiently and at the appropriate temperatures. So I would assume that they're probably stored in a cooler zone in our storage facility, which is essentially stratifying them for the customer.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like that's awesome. We have a hack, right? Just get Park Seeds and then you're good. You don't need to do anything.
That's one of the things we didn't really fully realize until we came on board to work with Park Seed was the difference between seeds that come from somewhere like Park Seed that's storing them in a refrigerated environment versus seeds that are sitting on the shelf of the store for a while until you get them. The quality is radically different. And that's one of the main reasons why. It's just the way that they're stored. That's something we did not really fully realize until we came on board and started getting all of our seeds from Park Seed. And we're like, wow, we should have been doing this the whole time because we wasted so much time on things that didn't germinate or didn't grow well or whatever. And I think a lot of it was just due to we were using a lot of free seeds. A lot of our seeds in the past were like a nursery would have a bunch of expired seeds and then donate them to us.
Yeah.
So we probably shouldn't have done that. We didn't have much success, but.
Well, we definitely noticed a huge uptake in our germination rate when we switched over.
Yeah, it was we were used to 2 or 3 seeds in every hole, and now
then maybe one would sprout, but now I just put 1 seed in each hole and I'm good.
Yep, especially with
we have strict parameters on storage and quality, so that that does make a huge difference for the end consumer.
And we have someone who's their entire job is dedicated to testing seeds rigorously. Mm-hmm. She's been doing it for a long time, over I think 20 years, right? Hasn't she worked there for that long?
I if not more, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I spent some time with her when we were out in South Carolina, and she's awesome at what she does. She takes it very serious, and I wouldn't want anyone else testing my seeds. That's for sure.
So pansies and violas are from the same family. So I know we'll talk about violas later. The soil temps for both are typically cooler in order to germinate. So that's why as long as you're not using a heat mat, even if you haven't stratified it, usually will germinate just fine.
And pansies get 6 to 9 inches tall. These are one of the things we use in hanging baskets a lot, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, I do a lot of pansy hanging baskets.
And they can't handle any shade, though? Just full sun?
No, they're shade because they have that little cloud right there.
Okay, cool.
So that's part shade.
Nice.
They do not like heat. So down here in the South, you'll see them a lot right now in the spring. You'll even see a lot of like housing developments use them during the wintertime down here. Mm-hmm. But as soon as it hits, 70s, 80s, it's typically, they just kind of melt. So
do they self-seed or anything like that, or do you have to typically replant them every year?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I'd hate to give the wrong information. I don't think they do, but they might. I mean, obviously we sell seed for them. So seed is coming from somewhere. So they may self-seed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let us know in chat if you've had pansies self-seed. Let us know.
And I saw somebody said they had like a long time to germinate. It can take up to 3 weeks for you to actually start seeing growth. So, don't lose heart.
Okay. Awesome. Any other questions about pansies before we move on to the next?
Well, I put violas next because they are very similar and what technically cousins, right, is what they're referred to as. So yeah, pretty much everything we talked about with pansy, it's very similar for violas. There's not a huge difference between the two, but I did see that violas are supposed to be a little bit more tolerant of like the heat, so they grow a little bit longer in the summer.
Okay.
And pansies, I prefer like a blackout, like so you can cover a pansy seed with your soilless media or whatever you're germinating your seed in, and they like that. Whereas violas typically need a little bit more light. They have a smaller seed. Typically, smaller seed requires less depth.
Okay. Good to know.
Oh, and it looks like people have had pansies come up for them.
Yep. Michelle and Mobo.
It's exciting.
And pansies and violas do not need to be pinched. So I know that. I may not know which ones need to be pinched, but I know the ones not to pinch.
And this is going to be another short plant. So it's going to be 4 to 8 inches tall. Have her on your borders, places like that. Okay, next on the list.
Calendula. I love it. I just learned how to pronounce it too.
We were calling it calendula.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I had never grown it. I just was sounding it out. So yeah.
We've been watching a lot of Garden Answer lately.
Yeah.
We really like her channel and been learning a lot from flowers from her. And that's where we learned how to spell it, how to pronounce it right. So.
Yeah. So we've grown calendula before, but usually we've done transplants. This is the first year again that we're doing seeds, so it's exciting. We're doing those. They're actually pretty large, so hopefully we can transplant them out here very soon.
And these are going to be something going in the ground, not typically in a hanging basket or something like that, because they're going to be a little taller.
I'm going to have to try these seed-wise. I've only done transplants as well, so.
These were the seeds that looked really cool, weren't they?
Oh yes, they were like horseshoe shaped seeds.
Mm-hmm. They're very unique, cool looking seeds. Did we do those as a contest?
Not yet.
Oh. Advantage goes to
hint,
someone.
Hint. We might be doing that at some point.
If you're not following us on Instagram or on Facebook, we do contests quite a bit where we will post a picture of a seed and it's a guess what this seed is type thing, or guess what this sprout is. We've done that a couple of times too. So follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and it sounds like you can have a real advantage if you're watching this live stream. You might want to wait at least a week or two to run that one, but it's definitely a really cool looking seed. I wish I had a picture of it I could pop up right now. Andrew, maybe if you could find a picture of calendula seeds, and then we'll pop that up.
Calendula is a home run for anybody who is into holistic medicine.
Yes.
Natural medicine.
I remember reading about this morning. Yes. So a lot of people use different like rubs and stuff like that from it for skin issues and things like that. So that one, then it's already in the app, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
I believe we've tried to focus so far. The app, we focus on things that are either edible or medicinal. I think we're gonna have to throw that out the window here pretty soon. But that's what we tried to focus on. So
far, every flower that I've added, I have found that they are technically edible. So
we might just have to add our criteria to be pollinator attracting.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, is there anything else we need to talk about on calendula?
I know they make a really good companion plant too, because we do a lot of companion planting with this as well.
What are they good to plant with?
I know they're generally cool season, but I mean pretty much everything. Okay. I mean, we put them out and we put we put them next to like our brassicas and things like that in the cool season, and then if they will last next to tomatoes. But again, like I know their seasons kind of overlap a little bit, but having them around that time, if they can get a little bit shaded from the tomatoes, they'll do great with that. Okay. Ranunculus.
I'm back. Baby issues. But all the kids are home from spring break, so we've got plenty of helpers, but had to go make sure everything was okay.
So ranunculus is a new one for me, at least. We've never grown it before this year, and this year we started some by seed, and so far they're doing good. But yeah, I don't really. I mean, they did great for us, and I guess we followed these instructions. We didn't cover them, and yeah.
I'm not the only one that hears redonkulus every time, right? Someone else has to hear that every time they hear the name of this flower. When Carrie told me we were going to be covering this one day, the only thing I know I told her the only thing I know about it is it sounds like redonkulus. I don't think we have grown much of this. Laura, what do you know about redonkulus? Help us out.
I predominantly have experience with transplants and tissue culture, so that would not be from seed. But this is huge in the floral industry. So if anybody online is looking to start a flower farm or a little side hustle, this is a great option because you can get anywhere from $3 to $7 a stem. So if you're growing plants, I mean, you could have a little mini, bank vault in your garden, essentially.
Wow.
They're really great for weddings. They're highly sought after for their colors, vibrant colors of oranges, pinks, reds, whites. I've seen some purples. I've seen some bicolors. You always want to pick them if you're going to use them for flower arrangements. You want to pick them right as they're like cracking the color. So you see this picture here, they've already come out of their bloom and they're just gonna blow a little bit larger. But if you pick them right as they're still in that spherical shape, right when they're cracking color, you as the enjoyer in your home will be able to see all of the color for a longer period of time.
That's awesome. I can't wait to have our own like little flower bouquets in our kitchen. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be amazing.
I know. It's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be so fun. I can't wait for ranunculus. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Pests that like ranunculus are aphids and slugs usually. So if you're just paying attention to that, aphids, they can be knocked off real easy with water. That's just a preventative kind of thing. And slugs, there's all kinds of home remedies to keep slugs away from things. So you just, as long as you're doing daily scouting, you'll be fine.
And is this something that you're not going to transplant outside until after the last frost, right?
They do like a little bit of cold weather. So they do not like heat at all. They will completely melt in the heat. And they take, I think I read somewhere they can take up to 3 months to flower. So you do want to start these really soon indoors, keep your temperatures low and get them outside as soon as possible. Light frost, not heavy frost. So watch your weather. And then you can also direct sow these in the fall. So again, they get that cold period and then develop immediately when they decide to in the spring.
Okay.
Nice. Are these, so I see this. Are these ones that they could do like for fall time?
They could for sure. I mean, I would probably start the seeds a little in the summertime in a controlled environment inside. It's probably a little too early for fall, but you're thinking in the right direction. You always want to think of that stuff ahead so you can plan for it.
Nice. Okay. Poppies. Again, so poppies, there's so many unique varieties of poppies. I know we have a bunch of different colors and varieties. Like they're so fun. These ones, again, there's a huge variety of sizes for them, anywhere from like 6 inches to 4 feet. So there's a huge variance in the different varieties that you can do. Yeah, it's crazy. But they're super pretty. They are amazing for a lot of different full sun environment. So depending on the variety you get, maybe you want to put them in the back or the front. Yeah.
I've never seen a 4-foot poppy. Do we have any of those that we started? That sounds cool.
I couldn't tell you which varieties are 4 feet. Laura, do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to go through our website just to refresh it. We have so many at Parkseed.
Yeah.
They are heavy hitters. Our customers love them.
Yes.
Lisa says she never had any Leco poppies. Do they need to be cold stratified? I didn't say
I'll have to look that up. I mean, I have a feeling that they might need to be cold stratified.
But poppy was one we did struggle with, so I'm guessing it does need. I don't know, but pansies did great for us, and they needed to be so.
So I do know that these are another one that you can sow in the fall. Again, that leads me to believe that typically cold stratification is what that seed needs. So
I just called in back up and asked Growbot, and Growbot says yes, it does need to be cold stratified.
That would be it.
If you're not familiar with Growbot, by the way, Growbot is an AI garden chatbot that we built based off of our data, all the data we have at Parkseed, and we trained it on a number of things. And you can download it from the App Store if you search for Growbot. Just all you do is search for Growbot; you'll find it easily that way. It's on iOS right now, not on Android quite yet.
But it is in the From Seed to Spoon app also.
And that it's in Seed to Spoon on both iOS and Android. And that's one of the premium features is you get unlimited questions. You get 3 free questions per day with a free account though. So that's who I turn to. With flower stuff, I've been talking to Growbot a lot lately, especially. So I just asked Growbot.
It's your new best friend.
Yeah. Okay, what is next on our list? Sweet peas. I think these are my favorite out of all of them because of how fragrant they are.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, we actually grew these at the old house when we lived there. I remember growing sweet peas. We had a trellis that stood straight up that we grew some sweet peas on. They were beautiful for sure. I loved them. But yes, so sweet peas, again, a huge variety in how tall they get. And they can get up to 6 feet tall. So they definitely need something to climb on. Mm-hmm. And they'll do great.
Let's explain more about cold stratification and what that means. So, Laura, you're probably best qualified to answer this one.
So cold stratification essentially is just applying a temperature, so a cold temperature, to mimic the life cycle of a plant. You see that verbiage used a lot with bulbs and with seeds. The plant is used to growing in certain conditions, and if those conditions aren't met because you're growing it as an annual or doing it somewhere else, you have to stratify it yourself. So for example, when we talk about snapdragons, they needed to be stratified. If they did not get that cold period, they likely would not germinate. If they did germinate, they would not germinate to full bloom fruition. So you can put them in a freezer. You can put them in a refrigerator. A refrigerator really should suffice, but a freezer is not going to hurt anything. You're not going to freeze it. You're not going to damage it because the seed is dormant during that time. And you don't typically need to keep it in your freezer for, let's say 3 months for a duration of a full season. You're really just tricking the seed into thinking it got that. So it could be for a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so like a week or two. Yeah.
That's something we do for garlic sometimes. Yeah. For spring planted garlic, we'll put it in a bag of soil and put it in the fridge or freezer for a few weeks.
Tricks it into thinking it went through a winter.
Yeah. This is something that also applies to different berries as well. You have different berries that won't produce unless they get a certain number of cold hours, and different trees, fruit trees as well. So it's something that's pretty common. Luckily, in the vegetable garden, it's not something we have to deal with that much, except for
Not-
garlic. But when it comes to flowers, it's something you got to deal with a little bit more. I think that's one of the reasons why I think that people think flowers are a little more difficult, and it definitely does add some complexity to it. But don't be scared to try.
Oh no, yeah.
Because even some of these things, like we said, that were supposed to be cold stratified, we didn't do it, and it still worked.
Yeah.
Poppies were one exception, though. It didn't say our poppies did not germinate.
We did have some that germinated. It just didn't. We didn't get a great germination rate.
Yeah, wasn't like the others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other ones all like pretty much everything germinated. Poppies were like the only one that we kind of struggled with.
I think that term has become more popular and more used because the varieties in the industry to purchase now are just so vast. Whereas before, if you were in a certain zone, you may not have had the ability to purchase elsewhere or to purchase those seeds because of the zone you were in. So now it's a way to help gardeners get more variety and still allow them to have really good outcomes.
We have a question from Vanessa here. She said she has some open seeds from last year, and can she refrigerate the unused seeds this year where they not grow? You can keep your seeds in the fridge. I mean, that's recommended too. That'll make them last longer. So definitely, you don't want to freeze them though. You want them. What's the right the optimum temperature? I wish I knew. They know at Park Seed.
Yeah, I don't know what the optimum temperature is. I mean, just walking around our facility, it's like refrigerator type cold. It's not freezer cold. Down here, we're wimps in the South. We don't like cold weather. So when we go into these areas, we're like, our teeth are chattering.
Growbot says between 32 and 41 is the.
That makes sense because normal refrigerators are, approximately 38 to 40. So
yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Storing them in a refrigerator, if they're open, just make sure they're in an airtight container. Refrigerators do tend to have moisture in them, depending on the type of refrigerator you have. Top freezer, bottom fridges are typically the most notorious for having more moisture.
That's great advice.
And then Cheryl wants to know if we can add sweet peas. Yeah.
I will put it on my list, Cheryl. That will be next up.
She had another request too. I saw snapdragons. Do we have snapdragons?
Oh, so snapdragons are halfway through. I have it about halfway done, so it should be soon. Hopefully, very soon. But
I'm gonna go buy snapdragons today. A whole cartload of them.
Yes, love it.
So sweet peas grow similar to peas, and that they grow up a trellis. Are they related to peas? I assume same family.
They are. They're in the same family, but they're not the same thing.
Are they still going to produce pods after the flowers? Like, what do the flowers turn into?
I think it's just flowers. I've only seen them wild. I've never grown them or been around anybody who's grown them. I've only seen them wild. I've never seen pods. If somebody in the chat could say, I know that they've seen them and had them in wedding bouquets, so maybe they've seen pods, but I personally have only seen that similar flower that you would see on a pea.
And if they do produce pods, what do they taste like? Because I'm going to try it for sure. It's probably terrible. I'm sure that's why.
Me, if I go out in the garden, I'm like just eating like everything that I see. And my husband, he's like, "What are you doing? I'm not going to eat that." I was like, "Eat it. It's edible." He's like, "No."
Yeah, just eating all the flowers.
I tried so hard to get him to eat nasturtium flowers last year. He wouldn't do it.
Aw, you got to sneak it in like we do with kale and our kids' food.
I'm sure I did, but I just don't remember.
Our 8-year-old, like, she will go out there and eat everything, like literally everything. Like, I told her too that like the chive flowers were edible, so she started just picking chive flowers and eating those too.
She's our first kid that's like
everything.
She's our first kid that grew up native with all of this. The 2 kids before her we lived way differently. It was before we started gardening. But Mary, the one that she's talking about, was born like with the garden, pretty much.
Yeah,
we started the garden like.
I think I was pregnant with her when we started our first one. Like,
yeah,
I was very pregnant.
So it's all she's ever known. So she's a little more wild than the other ones.
She'll have everything.
Yeah.
If I'm growing it, I'm not scared to eat it. Even if you're really not supposed to eat it, I mean, it's not going to kill you. It might make you not feel so great, but.
Yeah, that's usually how I tell like what a weed is. A little taste test of it. Just pick it and taste test and see what it was, whether or not it was good or not. Okay, evening primrose. This is your favorite, isn't it?
It is this. So this, I've said it for everyone, but this one is actually my favorite. I just absolutely love it. So we live in Oklahoma, and evening primrose like grows as a wildflower here everywhere. I am so excited to because very soon they should be coming up and flowering. Like they're along the interstates everywhere. I love evening primrose. They're just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And they're super simple, super easy to start. Like we got a bunch of seeds and we're just going to toss them around everywhere. Like you don't need to do anything. They're super easy. They're hardy. They don't require much work. They thrive in poor soil conditions. I mean, they're the perfect flower to grow.
You see them along the side of the road here in Oklahoma a lot.
All the time.
With no one taking care of them at all. They just thrive on their own.
Yeah, so pretty much you can just take these seeds and just toss them everywhere. Or you can start them indoors too, because we did transplants before in our gardens, but so you can just toss seeds if you want to, or you can start them indoors and have a little bit more organization too.
Would these do well in a hanging basket?
Ooh, I bet they would. We've never had them in a hanging basket, but I bet they would.
Especially with how well they can tolerate rough conditions, because sometimes we're not great at hanging baskets. They die every July.
I'm going to try it.
I joke with Carrie every year when she's building her hanging basket.
Watered.
Yes, it is. Especially
with baskets watered, yeah.
Yeah, I promised her an irrigation system for the patio this year, so I've got to actually deliver on that.
You can come down here by me and build one for me too.
I'll make a video about it and then I'll send it to you. And then
yeah, so evening primrose, I highly recommend growing. You definitely need to try it. We're going to be growing a lot of it.
There's a lot of different colors too. White,
yes.
Pink, purple. Wait, not purple.
Pink is the best.
I feel like I remember seeing it all over Texas. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know a lot about larkspur. Maybe Laura?
I know a little bit about it.
Okay.
It is very tricky to grow from seed. So you may have to try a few different things, but it does need what?
Yeah, ours did good. They're about like this tall.
Okay, good. They do need cold stratification, and I think where people really struggle is it may germinate at first, but it does have a taproot. Taproots in containers are notorious for not being successful. As soon as the taproot or portions of the taproot touch the outside of a container, it typically starts to die. It does not like to be restrained in any way, and that is why typically when you're seeing larkspur or delphinium as finished plants in the garden center or wherever you're buying your plants from, it's typically going to be grown from tissue culture or grown from vegetative propagation. It wouldn't be grown from seed. So I would recommend anybody who's growing this from seed to definitely grow it in containers that are large enough to withstand that taproot development. And at minimum, those like 6-cell trays, Bootstrap Farmer has some of them that are just typically deeper than they are wide.
That's good to know. So we need to get ours transplanted.
Yeah, we need to up pot ours then, because they are about like I said, like this tall. Like they're several inches tall.
When can they go into the ground?
I would say after frost for sure. They are not cold hardy. They would not be able to take a light frost. So I would just wait till your frost date, or begin hardening them off prior to your frost date and just bring them in when it gets cold enough for frost.
Okay.
They don't like cold weather. They have real picky moisture requirements. So they don't like wet feet, but they need a lot of water. It's just kind of weird. So if you can get them past that taproot stage and get them transplanted, they're very successful after that. And I believe they reseed. So you should get some every year because they do need that cold stratification. So they should be able to remain outside if you don't have a lot of animals foraging for them.
Okay.
Great.
I'm so excited to revisit all of these in a few months when we actually have some to show. And
Yeah.
that's going to be awesome.
A great line flower, a lot of different varieties out there, short, tall, like this says, I mean, 1 to 4 feet tall sometimes. You can get some really, really large line flowers out of them.
Is this another good flower for bouquets and things like that?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Long lasting and everything. So if you're seeing a flower like that in the garden, like on this picture, I probably wouldn't cut it just yet. You really want to cut it right when these little blooms that are right next to the 1 and the 4 start to crack color. That's when you really want to cut it, because then you get that full effect and it will last longer in a vase.
Okay. I don't see any other questions about larkspur. So next on the list.
Okay. Columbine. These are beautiful. We actually saw some like a week or so ago. I don't remember where we were, but you saw that and you were like, oh, I love that. And I was like, we have some seeds started for that. I was like, we have little baby seedlings, so you're going to love it.
Are these the vining?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm thinking of something else.
I don't remember where we were, but we were somewhere. And you pointed out saying, I really like that flower. And I was like, well, you're in luck. Yeah, we started these ones too. I'm super excited because they're gorgeous. Like before this year, we had never grown them before. So we started seeds this year and they're growing great so far.
Down here in the South, they do really well in full shade. I wouldn't recommend that for up north, but down here in the South, full shade to part shade. They don't like the heat. They melt. They're early spring. Sometimes they'll bounce back again in the fall. And they have just a really unique leaf, kind of like a flowery, frilly clover almost.
That's good to know. So part of our porch is on the north side of our house, and we're always looking for things to put in the containers over there. So I think this is going to be perfect to go along with like the impatiens we normally put over there. And
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This would be good to mix with that.
Yeah, for sure. I like that idea.
Is this something that can tolerate going out before the frost, or do we wait until the frost to transplant this out?
I believe it can tolerate very light frost, but only as it's an established plant. So I would wait till after frost.
Okay, good to know.
Lots of different color varieties in columbine too.
Well, that was our list of our 10 seeds that we're growing. Like I said, all of those are our cool season ones that we've already started
for early spring.
Early spring. Like I said, we'll cover a whole lot more flowers and some of the more common ones that you guys are excited about too, I know. Here in a little bit.
We'll come back in about a month. Earth Day is in a month, so probably a perfect time.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
The week of Earth Day, we'll cover our flowers again, and we'll talk more about some of the things like zinnias that you're probably anticipating hearing about. But
marigolds.
Yeah. But hopefully, some of these things are new to you, or things that you'll try out. If you had any questions that we did not get to, we still have some more time. We're going to try and get to some more, but don't forget Growbot. It saved us a number of times during this workshop for questions that I didn't have an answer for, and it helps me out all the time. Like I said, it's built into the Seed to Spoon app. There's also a standalone app if you'd like to have a standalone version. That's available as well. But yeah, so let's see if we have any other questions we need to answer, and then we'll see who our
we'll announce a winner.
Okay. Question about when this will show on YouTube. This should show immediately after we end, pretty much. I think it pretty much shows right then.
Yeah.
A lot of these we already answered. How do you divide irises? Here's one.
That might be a good one for you, Laura.
I mean, if you ever dig up an iris, it's a long rhizome, which is just essentially a long growing root. You can divide it anywhere as long as there's a couple eyes on it. So depending on how large that root is, typically you can divide them in early spring, just right as you see those little green things pointing up, which typically happens pretty early. And then you can separate it. There's really no wrong way to do it. The worst comes to worst is you cut a piece of rhizome that doesn't have an eye on it, but there's a lot of eyes on irises.
So, question from Alicia. What can you plant next to brassicas to keep cabbage moths and caterpillars away? So a couple things we do. Onions, we do a lot of around our brassicas. Marigolds, we will also do. Not yet. It's a little too cold for marigolds right now.
We can start seeds of marigolds out. I've researched marigolds a lot recently, but so you can start seeds of marigolds now, but don't transplant like baby plants until after frost.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Seeds are okay.
But those are the main things. Go ahead, Laura. I'm sorry.
Seeds direct sowing. You could direct sow the seeds right now.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
well, for us at least, in Zone 7. I think it's a few weeks before your last spring frost, you can start to put seeds out in the ground.
Another one that you could potentially plant with there is calendula as well. So that's another one you can.
Help with. We talked about that earlier about how we planted those next to brassicas. Yeah.
Okay, and then we have a question from Sue. She started a berry orchard this year. What flowers?
Oh, that's exciting.
Hey, Sue. Shout out. We know Sue. What flowers should we plant next to bring them in? Well, the sky's the limit. I mean,
yeah,
you got a lot of options. I would probably do a lot of herbs. That's going to be pretty easy to take care of. They're pretty hands off for the most part. I mean, the biggest way people kill them for the most part is overwatering. So, and they bring in a ton of pollinators, especially in the summer. So I would do that. I would do zinnias again because they self-seed. Like if I'm looking at a berry patch, it's probably somewhere I'm only going to. I'm not spending as much time in it as the rest of my garden. So I want things that are a little more hands off. So, zinnias because they're going to self-seed. Sunflowers are going to do really well in that area.
Monarda.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes,
Monarda is a huge pollinator attracting plant, and all the pollinators: butterflies, bees, solitary bees, hummingbirds.
I do have a bunch of seeds started for those too. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. Those are another one of my favorites.
Bee balm. Also. Sorry. Another thing I'll mention is in the app we added a theme in our new themes section that is one for pollinator garden. So you can check that out too, and it'll have all the flowers we have in the app and all the different. A lot of herbs especially sage brings in a ton of pollinators.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And I think with pollinators, it's just important to just have something blooming all the time. I think the focus on having only one type of pollinator plant is kind of dated. If you have bulbs, crocus, tulips, daffodils, all of those are bringing in some sort of pollinator as well. And it's about keeping a consistent food source for your pollinators, which keep them coming early and consistently. And that's probably what you're going to want for a berry orchard if you're trying to have consistent fruit set.
Yep. Good point there. Question here from Kayla. She loves the look of columbine. How sturdy of a plant is it through wind and storms? Not.
I don't recommend it. Plant it in a protected area. I mean, it's delicate, but it's not. You're not endangering it by putting it in a non-protected area. But it has very, very thin roots, thin root system, thin petioles, thin stems. I did see someone on here said that they had one that is really large and woody. That's atypical. It's not a typical response for one of those. So that one's just really, really happy. So it really does kind of depend on where you have planted it and if it's just absolutely thriving.
All right. Well, let's announce a winner, and then I think we may have a couple minutes left after we can answer any other questions. But I think Andrew has one selected, and our winner is Lewis Acre Farm, Karma Lewis. Congratulations!
Awesome. Congratulations!
I know I definitely recognize that name. They've been with us for quite a while through these workshops, and a lot of other names I recognize. And I really, just want to say I appreciate all of you for joining us every week. These are a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoy them too. And because of y'all, it makes it fun. If we were just talking to ourselves, we did that in the beginning, and that was not fun. I'll tell you that. And if y'all were mean to us, that wouldn't be fun either. So just appreciate all of you, and just want to say that. So let's try and get to some more questions. And congratulations again to Carmen.
Yeah, send us an email at info@seedtospoon.net, and Andrew will get you set up.
Yeah.
I love to see how many people are responding this week. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming through.
Will you come back and join us again soon, Laura?
For sure.
Isn't this fun? Yeah. Just hang out and talk plants for an hour at lunch every week.
Oh, yeah.
So
I definitely moved my schedule around to make this work today.
Laura's very busy, y'all.
Now everybody I work with knows it.
All right, let's get to a couple more questions I saw come in. So, flower that will help with squash bugs.
I will say it's not a flower, it's an herb, but dill, it works for squash bugs.
Daikon radish too. There have been a lot of studies showing that daikon radish has helped with squash bugs. Squash bugs are just difficult, though.
They are.
They're horrible.
Yes.
I'd be lying to you if I said that I had a magic solution for it. It takes a lot of diligence and checking. It takes a lot of planting squash all over the place in different areas, and just knowing that 20% of it's going to get decimated by squash bugs or squash vine borers at a minimum.
Yeah, so dill, mint, like those things, I know those two in particular, and the radish. Be
careful with mint, though.
But put the mint inside of a little container and put it next to it. But it's supposed to throw them off. It actually, I feel like it did help last year, the ones that we did that with. So I definitely think that those help.
Something else that we've done. Oh, go ahead, Laura.
Does dill last throughout the summer? Because down here it doesn't like the heat.
Oh, ours did great. Ours lasted our entire summer here.
It may have been an area that got a little shade in the afternoon, though. Like Possibly. A lot of our stuff is underneath arch trellises and stuff like that. So we have little microclimates.
And we had a lot of volunteer dill too that came up. Yeah. It was amazing. Dill just came up. There was a huge patch of it that came up. I was like, oh wow, okay, I will let you keep going, because they're great.
I love that term. I have volunteer cilantro every year.
Yes. I love it. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Another thing to help with squash bugs is to grow your squash vertically. So whenever your squash is laying down on the ground, it's easier for the squash bugs to get up underneath the leaves and stuff. So if it's a zucchini plant, we'll just put a T-post in the ground next to it and then tie it up as it grows. Now, you don't want to do this. You want to do this as the plant grows, because if you try and take a full-size plant and then attach it to it, it doesn't like that. It'll end up breaking on you and stuff. And then for our winter squashes and stuff, we grow them up arch trellises quite a bit. So that's a way that we try and grow our squashes, just because them being up in the air gives the squash bugs less places to hide, gives birds more opportunity to hunt them and us to hunt them too. If you pay your kids $0.25 for every squash bug they find, that can be cost you a lot of money, but can also help. Especially if kids like mine, they broke me one day. It was like this.
They just get gloves on and they just go out, keep grabbing them.
Then we used to feed them to the spiders.
I remember Daphne, she got I don't know,
$5 worth
20 of them at least. She was just, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is great, but best $5 I ever spent.
Then we have orb weavers all throughout the gardens. We just go feed them, throw them on the web, and watch the orb weavers go to work. It's fun. So do that.
Will chickens eat them?
That's before we had chickens. So we would definitely just throw them to the chickens. But back then we had spider pets instead of chicken pets. So. Okay, question. What are some beginner-friendly edible flowers to go? Number one on my list is going to be nasturtium. Really easy to grow, and it's
marigold.
Zinnias are edible.
Zinnias, yeah.
And it's hard to kill a zinnia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in the middle of the summer when it's totally neglected or it has powdery mildew on it, it's still throwing up blooms and there's butterflies everywhere. It just does not care.
Yeah.
I'll throw a curveball here too. Chives. Chive flowers are amazing, and chives are really easy to grow.
Yeah.
So.
I like it.
Okay. Well, I think we definitely hit the end of the hour. I appreciate all of you joining us. If we didn't get to your question, again, ask Robot. Hopefully Robot will have the answer. You can also leave a comment on the YouTube video after it goes out. Unfortunately, like once this closes, all these chat messages go away forever, and I can't even see them, which is annoying, but it's the way it is. I did see a comment on here earlier. Where was it?
It's pinned.
Okay, Vanessa. You said your app crashes every time you scroll. So 2 things. Number 1, make sure you're on the latest version of the iPhone. There was a bug with an update that was like 6 months. It's an old update that's causing issues. Everyone that's emailed us has been fixed by updating their iPhone. If that does not fix it, reach out to us at support@seedtospoon.net, and we'll figure it out. We'll get you fixed up. So, and then one other thing I saw that came up earlier. If you're still here, please reach out to us because I would love to know more from you on this. And I'm going to dig in and see what's going on here. But I have not heard of this from anyone else.
Yeah, I was just on there this morning.
So I will let you know that I saw this comment when we first started, and I snapped it and sent it to somebody on our team. So
Great.
I have started looking into that. So thank you. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. We appreciate your help, everybody on here.
Yep. All right.
Awesome.
Well, I think that's it.
Yeah,
so
thank
what are we
you
talking
guys
about next
so
week?
much. I don't know.
We haven't decided yet.
Nope.
Okay.
We haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah.
But I will post it. Hopefully, I typically post them tomorrow, so I will get on that. We'll chat about it and see what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and definitely be paying attention to our deals tomorrow and Thursday. I can't say anymore.
Weekend.
I can't say anymore.
There's
But
a lot of them
pay
coming.
attention. And if you go to the app, we'll have a section in the shop where it's at the very top.
Yeah. Well,
So-
pretty much every Wednesday, you need to be paying attention because they have
Especially
Wow
this one.
Wednesday deals that are really good. So
Yeah. And don't forget, if you shop through the app, you get free shipping. If you're a yearly subscriber, you can also save 15% with code SPOON15. So,
yeah.
All right. Thank you again, Laura, for joining us. This was awesome.
Yes. Thank you, Michelle, for reminding me because today is the first day of spring. It's exciting. And if you guys spend $25 or more at Park, there's a code that you can enter. You get free. It's the Tomato Whopper Junior.
Brand new.
Yes.
Brand new.
Exciting. Yeah, it's brand new. We're growing it for the first time this year because, again, this first year we're carrying it. So we're actually growing this too. Very exciting. So it's an exciting seed. But thank you, Michelle, for reminding us.
Okay, next time let's talk to pollinators, summer bloomers. Let's get that on the schedule.
Yes, I love it. Well, thank you all. We'll see you all again. Hopefully next week, next Tuesday, same time, same place. Do we want? Oh,
Yeah. One more thing.
one more.
Mo, it's Spoon15.
Oh, yep. Cheryl shared it for us. She's got it.
Cheryl and Vanessa are on it.
I know, they're right on top of that.
And Michelle, like y'all are saving us.
See what I'm talking about, Laura? We got the best people joining us every week. They're awesome.
Okay, well,
Okay,
thank you
we're really
all
going this time
so
now.
much.